Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're going to be talking about the Forest Witch, the tier 7 heavy tank, which is of course going to be coming in very soon because, as you all know, it is Halloween. It does have two guns, but one of them is broken, so you sort of only have one gun left. So don't be expecting something like a Helsing again, because it's not going to happen. You are going to only have one gun, but visually it's two. Well, the second one's sort of broken, so that's that. But take a look at this armor profile, guys. This armor profile, especially the turret and the frontal armor, is insanely strong for tier 7 heavies. Wargaming are literally beating the crap out of tier 7 and tier 6 tanks by adding more and more premium / collectible monsters into tier 7. Seriously, we have the Smasher, we have the Annihilator, now we have the Forest Witch, and I feel like tier 7 is that tier where Wargaming don't care at this point because the community sort of ate it up, no one cares anymore, and Wargaming like to add more and more OP tanks into tier 7. It's simply how it is. Now, if we compare this tank to other tier 7 tanks, for example, you can see that the dispersion is going to be pretty decent. It's fairly close to the Tiger one when it comes to the dispersion levels, right? The aim time is also pretty decent, much better than, for example, the Soviet tanks at tier 7, which have the big 122mm gun. The DPM is also relatively okay at 1886, but it's going to be worse than a lot of tier 7 tanks. The interesting thing is that this tank has 4 shells in the drum, and obviously the very first shell reloads at 17.73 seconds and it decreases after that. So I would recommend sort of shooting 3 shots and leaving the 4th shot for, an AFK enemy or your very last shot in the game where you're about to die and you won't have a chance to reload. In that case, you can sort of let your 4th shot go, as in, it's not a bad thing. So the interclip is going to be 2.6 seconds, and that is very cool. The alpha is 240. So with 3 shots, you can actually do pretty decent damage in this thing. Around 720 plus minus, depending on your alpha, of course. So 720 is actually fairly good. So in just around, 5 seconds, you're going to be doing this amount of damage, plus minus, guys. And of course, the mobility is 36 kilometers forward. So it's, again, very similar to other heavy tanks at tier 7. So for example, it's going to be a tiny bit better than the Annihilator, a tiny bit better than the IS tanks, etc. So when it comes to that, this tank has pretty much everything. Well, it has everything, but it's not super OP apart from the armor. At least the armor to me seems like it's very strong, and a lot of tier 7, especially tier 6 tanks will struggle a lot to penetrate this tank frontally. I seriously mean it. This tank is going to be hell for a lot of tier 6 and 7 tanks, especially those who just joined the game and don't necessarily know how to penetrate tanks, or those players that don't necessarily use gold. Because again, some parts on this tank are extremely overpowered when it comes to the armor profile. So this is going to be something tanks will need to sort of adjust to, especially again at tier 7. Overall, I feel like the way this tank looks is also very cool. I mean, Wargaming did a pretty decent job. But again, the armor profile, like in some areas, gets up to 290mm plus 300mm. 220mm on average on the turret is very strong. But of course, tier 8s will not care. Tier 8s will not care, just like they never cared about, something like a Smasher, because they have enough armor to sort of fight against it, right? But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this tier 7 monster in the comment section below. And with that, Happy is out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.